Europe's latest heat wave is part of a new normal. Photo gallery by Photo Services. Some of Europe is cooling down from a record-breaking heat wave, while other places have seen the mercury creep back up. Unprecedented high temperatures have led to recent school closures, wildfires, and in some cases, death. In France, in Paris, authorities imposed a temporary ban on older cars to counter a heat-related pollution. Some 25. Jérôme Despay, a wine producer in France's southwestern Hérault region, tweeted photos of shriveled grapes, and complained of widespread. Meteorologists say a weakening of the high-level jet stream is increasingly causing weather systems to stall and leading summer temperatures to soar. 5 of Europe's in Laos, charities were handing out water to homeless people who were particularly vulnerable. A woman cools off in a water fountain in Marseille as a heat wave hits much of the country, France, June 28, 2019. The world's Marco Weerman sat down to speak with Geert January van Oldenborg, a senior researcher at the Royal Netherlands Meteorological Institute, who attended the World Weather Meeting and used the heat wave outside as a real-time example of how climate change impacts the weather. Geert January van Oldenborg was a conference on statistical climatology, and so all the people that studied the relationship between extreme weather and climate were there discussing their latest findings. And we just happened, it was even worse than that. A few months ago, not all, but of course yes, it was a topic of conversation. And while all actually, on the first day, we just met each other and they said, well, we have to do this. And they agreed. Well, the most surprising finding was that for the month of June, heat waves in that part of France have come up in temperature by about 7 degrees Fahrenheit. And that is rather a lot. The immediate cause of a heat wave is always the weather. In this case, most of the world's heat waves are getting more intense. The globe is warming. I think that after 2003, the message did come across. Other European, if you look back at the last few years, almost every year there's been a big heat wave somewhere in Europe, and it will only get worse as long as we keep on limiting CO2. This interview was condensed and edited for clarity. Reuters contributed to this report. Search for location/city.
Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up.